responsible for these investors. At the end of the day, people are saying, I trust you. Even though they make their own due diligence and sound call, you're responsible for your investors. Where do you want to be in 5 years or 10 years? What's that specific number you want to get at? How many businesses will it take to get to that point? And then eventually, here's where I can start in each step that I need to go along the way. Our model is we're going to build it, we're going to fill it, and we're going to sell it. Build it, fill it, sell it. That's our model.
Last year, we had a deal offered to us, an 8-unit for $1.2 million, direct to seller. Guy hasn't paid his taxes. He wants to get out of it with his partners. Just last week, he offered it to us for $500,000.
Welcome back to Multifamily Rockstars. So as you guys know, this is where we go deep on our guests' deals, and we show you really action items to take so you can do your first deal. And as always, I've got my co-host, Mark Nagy. What's up, Mark?
What's going on, Rod? Excited. Kind of a unique one here today. I'll just leave it at that and let the guests get into it.
Yeah.
Heard about this.
Yeah. So we've got Marquice Hobbs, who's in Houston, and where I was literally last week, dealing with some troubled asset there. But Mark's a pastor and a great guy, and we're going to talk about his development deal. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, Rod. Thanks, Mark. It's an honor and privilege to be here with you guys. I listen to you all. You're definitely one of the rock stars, Rod, to say the least, in the industry. So this is a privilege of mine to share the same space with you.
Well, that's kind of you to say that, my friend. Thank you. So let's talk about this deal. You've got a development deal. Talk about how big it is and well, just talk about it. Yeah. Tell us about it.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the most important things when it comes to commercial real estate, as you taught us in the academy and a lot of your trainings, is partnerships. Partnerships. I mean, you can have a great deal and a terrible partnership, and that can really ruin the deal itself. And so I've been very blessed to be a part of a team here in Houston that recently expanded into the Oklahoma market. The team actually has a presence in Oklahoma with some of our principals. And so one of the uncles came out of retirement. Go uncle. He spent 15 years in development there in Oklahoma. He built all the IHOPs out there. So if you're ever stopping at an IHOP, you're probably in one of his developments, and a couple small apartments. And so we got Unc out of retirement. He found a piece of land in a really nice part of Oklahoma City. Got it for really, really cheap. It was less than $3 a square foot, I believe. Just right under 5 acres. We didn't have to build a detention pond. There was one on site that we can use. And so when you're looking at it like that, with rents at $11, I mean, hey, this is a win. This is a win.
You mean $11 a square foot?
Yep, exactly.
Rents,
$11 square foot.
What he's talking about, guys, is a retention pond. Very often when you develop, they've got to have this water management system. If you just put a bunch of concrete down, where's the water going to go? So they make you put in a pond, and you'll see that very often when you drive by some commercial property. You go in the back or the side, and you'll see this depression that's typically got water in it, and that's a retention pond. So it already had one. You've got it all entitled. You haven't turned a shovel yet.
No, we just purchased the land, and we're going through the horizontal development. That's everything we refer to as soft costs with the permit, survey, and things like that. This is actually one of the things I love about land development. When whatever you're building, you may have the business model of developing an apartment complex, a small business park, etc. But there's a lot of diversity that you can use when you're developing the land itself and the way you parcel it out and things of that nature. So we're going through that horizontal side right now, getting all the permits in order with the city. And then, we'll start building after that.
So that's where you're at. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Yeah. Now, you said you got it for $3, under $3 a square foot, and the comps are almost double that, right?
So comps in that area are close to $6 a square foot, which is really a steal of a deal. So there's some value add already built into the property itself before you even do anything. And rents in that area were actually going for like $12 to $13 per square foot. And what we like to do, we actually are more conservative with our underwriting. I appreciate that about my team. And we underwrote at about $11 per square foot, right under $12 per square foot. So we're already below what the market rent is. We got the land below where the market is. And it really looks like it's going to be a solid return for our investors.
And that's
fantastic.
That's so funny. I'm doing a development deal right now myself. We're about to close on a 14 unit, and same situation, came from another warrior. His uncle
Yep.
actually owned the land.
Let's go,
Okay.
And
uncles.
that's who
Yeah.
we bought it from. Yeah, I know. Random thing that you just mentioned there.
Wow.
Her uncle-in-law, I guess it was, but same thing. But I know, obviously, in that scenario, we're doing it because there's no inventory in that market, right? And so we figured if we can't buy anything, let's just build it. Walk us through. I know you talked about kind of the square footage for the people listening who don't understand any of that. Walk us through like the basic underwriting. Is the plan is it build to rent and then hold it and refinance? Are you planning on selling it? What is the plan, and what did the underwriting look like going through all that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I appreciate that, Mark, and congratulations on that development you guys got going, especially from another uncle. I love it. I love it. We need more uncles in the game.
Yeah. Good connection.
So, yeah, definitely. So the underwriting for development, I mean, to be honest with you, some of the things are pretty much set in stone, right? You're going to have certain costs. We call them soft costs. Those everything horizontal. When you're working with the city, many of those things are already set. And your construction cost is going to be the hard cost, the vertical one. And so we kind of developed an in-house template with our team that'll help us expedite this process because there wasn't really a good one on the market. And one of our principals, the CEO, Al Saluis, shout out to Al. He has a background in oil and gas and acquisitions and dispositions. So he's a numbers guy through and through. So they built this template for us, and essentially the underwriting really comes down to what are the rents in the market and what is the land cost for that market. And we were able to plug those in, and we got a really nice spread. So we're building close to $120 per square foot, and we're projected to sell at close to $170 per square foot.
So the plan is to sell it.
Yep. The plan is to sell it. And on that piece, what we're really building are 3 buildings on about 4.5 acres. We're building one building, the first one, that's going to be a single tenant. It's triple net. And then from there, we're going to build.
Okay, hold on. Let me explain what you just said.
Yeah.
So single tenant, is it retail or office?
This is actually light industrial office.
Okay, so light industrial office. So that means it's going to have an office with a warehouse behind it, kind of a thing. Okay. And fantastic. So that's going to be one tenant. Triple net, guys, means that the tenant pays for everything: taxes, insurance, maintenance, everything. So, which is what you'll see in a lot of retail as well, like Walgreens and Dollar General stores, and things on the corners of main intersections are very often single tenant, triple net leases in retail as well. So, okay, so you've got that. Triple net, please continue. So that was the one building. Okay.
Yeah. Just real quick. I appreciate that, Rod. That's one of the things I love about what you do. You're always about education. And so thank you for putting a pause on that for me. So yeah, we're going to get the single tenant triple net. And the reason why we decided to go with light industrial over retail is that when it comes to light industrial, you can pretty much put up a steel frame and fill it with your tenants. Sometimes when it comes to retail, there's a lot of spec that goes into it, a lot of creative, subjective designing for that particular business. Instead, we're like, hey, let's just build this frame. We're going to fill it with our tenants and kind of break it down per unit, and we'll go from there. So
how many units will be in that building?
Yeah, the first building is one tenant.
So it's just one tenant. You've already got it leased, or sorry to interrupt.
No. I appreciate it. We don't have it leased yet because we're still in the horizontal development with a city.
Oh, cool. Of course.
Our model, and this is helpful for anyone who's looking to get into the space of development, specifically with flex space or light industrial. Our model is we're going to build it, we're going to fill it, and we're going to sell it. Build it, fill it, sell it. That's our model.
Love it.
Yep.
Now, one thing you said, guys, what he's talking, obviously you know what he's talking about when you say an office retail. You got a little office in the front, and you've got warehouse. I'm not office retail, office warehouse, flex space, and flex means it's flexible, so that and very often when you say flex space, you might have a building like that, and you might carve it in half and let 2 people rent there, or 3 people, or whatever. That's why it's called flex space. It's got a lot of flexibility. Now with retail, what he was just talking about is you're going to have a lot of interior finishes. Okay. You're going to have
Correct.
tenant finish, it's called. And so you're going to do a lot of work after the fact to get a tenant in there, where with an office, you just hand them the freaking keys and I mean, I'm sorry, warehouse, you just hand them the keys and they're off to the races. Okay,
Right.
fantastic. So and I will tell you, I think there's that whole Amazon dynamic with retail as well. I mean, you got to think about that and what's happening there, because retail did get hammered with COVID as well. But anyway, I
Yep.
digress.
Yep.
So what's after this? What's after that first building?
So after the first building, that gives us an opportunity, right? We can subject the market, or excuse me, survey the market to see if we want to exit, and exit by selling a business, because this first building is going to be cash flowing with the tenant. We can sell it with the specs for two other buildings or not. It gives us some versatility. But our primary business plan is to then build two more buildings. So the
Okay.
first one is going to be about 12,000 square feet. And then we'll build
Ooh.
two other buildings, each for around 54,000 square feet or so. And what that'll give us from a tenant basis is about 27 units that we'll be leasing out to other business owners. And what that provides us, kind of an exit strategy. One of the things you must always do in any business you're in is start with the end in mind. You have to start with the end in mind, because especially in development, you got to ask yourself, who's going to be the end user? Who's going to be the end buyer? Who are going to be your tenants? What audience are you going after? I mean, we're developing something else, and that's exactly what we're having to keep in mind. Who are our specific tenant bases? And so for
So
this one,
elaborate on that, if you would, please.
yeah,
So I'm sure you did some homework. In my mind, I was thinking multifamily. I didn't realize you were
yeah.
doing this was all flex space. I was expecting you to say, we're going to put 30 units in the next building, like a multifamily. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad. So how did you? Well, let me ask you this: what sorts of tenants do you anticipate leasing the smaller? Because 12, by the way, 12,000 for a single tenant is good size spot.
Right.
How big do you expect the other ones to be, and what sort of tenants do you expect in the big one and the smaller ones? Do you have any thoughts on that?
So for us, the tenants that we looked at were really based on the market. Oklahoma City is a large logistical hub. It's a large hub for that. In
Mm,
that particular area where we're building, airplane is nearby. Excuse me, an airport, not an airplane, but
hmm
multiple airplanes. There's an airport nearby. And the tenants we're going after are the people who have started businesses in their garage, and now they're looking for more space to house their business. We're also looking for people in the utilities industry, so plumbers and electricians. They
hmm
need an office storefront, or even like Amazon. Sometimes Amazon needs these types of warehouses to store their products. So when we're making our Amazon order and they get there the next day, it's because they're pulling the shipment from warehouses like ours to deliver it to your home. And so there's a diverse tenant mix that comes with flex spaces, specifically with light industrial flex spaces.
How big are the smaller units going to be when you finish them? Do you know?
Yeah, so in buildings 2 and 3 in total, that's going to be 54,000 square feet between the two of them. And what that will then come down to is about 24,000 or so per building. And that can be anywhere from 1,000 per tenant to 2,000 per tenant or so. It really just kind of depends on when we get to that stage, how we want to break
and
that up.
what they want as
Yep,
well, right?
exactly.
Because it's flex. Okay.
Yep,
Now, one
that's
thing I
exactly.
do want to ask you about, this probably is part of the homework that you did moving into a new market into Oklahoma, in terms of, like you mentioned, the tenant base, the job growth, the income, different things like that that we always teach to look for. Because coming from a
Yep.
guy Houston, and Rod, you can speak to this as well. I know parts of Texas are getting really hit hard right now because of inventory. Same thing with
Yep.
Florida and all these big COVID boom towns, Nashville, right, to where there's tons of inventory. They're getting hit super hard right now. Places like
Mhm.
Oklahoma, Midwest, Northeast. I don't know if you call Oklahoma Midwest, but all those other places are doing really, really well right now. What did you see in Oklahoma, and how would you even compare that maybe to Houston in terms of why you moved into that market, and what are you seeing there? Maybe you're seeing the same thing as me.
Yeah, that's another great question, Mark. I appreciate that. This again goes back to what I was saying earlier about partnerships. Our principals have family and kind of grew up in the Oklahoma area. Uncle Wes, he came out of retirement and he knows his stuff in that market. the best way that I've heard it explained about Oklahoma City specifically is that it's slow and steady. It's a very slow and steady market in many regards. It tried to,
The whole Midwest is, candidly, when
yeah,
2000, sorry to interrupt, when 2008 and 9 hit, it was pretty flatlined across the Midwest. What got killed was Florida, Texas, Arizona, California. The southern states got killed, but the Midwest, did okay. So anyway, sorry to interrupt. Please continue. But
no,
you're
that's
dead
that's
on.
absolutely that's
Yeah,
absolutely correct. And I
yeah,
mean, Rod, you know all of this. You're the expert here and the guru of the teacher. So I mean,
yeah.
that's exactly right. The Midwest was slow and steady. Oklahoma was one of those slow and steady. And to me, it's the fifth largest city in Texas. So why not invest there, right?
You mean
uh,
you mean fifth largest city in what in the country?
yeah, in Texas, in
What
Texas,
is? What is?
Oklahoma City.
You mean in Oklahoma?
You mean in
No.
Oklahoma?
I mean in Oklahoma City. I'm from Texas. So back in the
Okay.
day, a little history lesson, Oklahoma was a part of the Texas Republic until we had to sell it off because of the war.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
Right. So that's a
Okay.
little jab for the people
I
over
went to
there.
the
yeah,
Alamo. I went to the
yeah.
Alamo last week. Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
we're going way back. Okay. You got us on
Yeah.
that one. Good one. You got
No,
us on
no.
that one.
I think that's super. I think that's not talked about enough right now because Midwest again is something that I've transitioned to with other partners right now.
Yeah.
And Rod, if you even want it, I know we'll talk about this on another podcast. We just talked about this, but obviously you have assets in Texas. San Antonio, I know is doing well, but Houston, I know is struggling a little bit. Are you seeing because of all the inventory that's coming in online? Is that part of the reason you're noticing in your assets?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Um, hmm, I don't think I want to speak to that right now because we're seeing some challenges with some of our assets, but I don't think it's really the market as much as it is prior mismanagement. So, I don't want to really say. We've
Well,
got assets in San Antonio where one a mile away from another is doing great. The new one we have is challenged getting people across the door with nicer units. So, there's
okay.
a lot of factors involved, but I
Yeah.
love Texas. Okay. So I love Texas. I've
Listen,
never done
Rod, you're
anything.
welcome
I've never,
anytime.
yeah, I've never
You're
done
welcome
anything in
anytime in
OK.
Texas.
I've never done anything in Oklahoma, but love Texas. And so I got a question. What is the
Sure.
construction type of the buildings that you're building? Are they metal? Are they brick? Are they frame, stucco? What are they?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a steel building.
Steel. Fantastic.
Yeah,
So much easier and fast. You can throw those
exactly.
things up quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So part of our story as Investstream, we really cut our teeth on apartments. That's where
Right.
we first started as LPs investing into deals, and then we moved into the GP portion, focusing primarily here in Houston.
Mhm.
But the Houston market, and you probably experienced this yourself, right? It began to slow down. Talk to any broker from last year, 23, and they'll tell you they probably saw about 70% reduction in transactions across their desk.
It's
Um,
about 90% now, almost
yeah,
nationwide, candidly, for sales,
yeah,
which is why, guys, deals are coming. Okay. I'm just
exactly.
telling you, because there deals are coming. This economy is going to cause some distress. And so anyway, please continue with your thought
Yeah.
on.
So our core has always been multifamily. There's a lot of tax breaks, a lot of incentives with that. And I mean, you
Mhm,
teach about this, right?
mhm.
So we kind of began to branch out a little bit into some other niches. We're first started with a flex space. We're building one here in Houston. It's a very unique one. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Rod. It's called X Space. Have you heard of that in Austin?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. So these Australian developers actually came over in Austin, built this unique, I call it a luxury parking garage slash condo. They built one in Austin, and then now they're building it in Houston, and we're partners on that one. It's essentially like a glorified man cave. You can park your vehicle there on the first, third floors. You can have your business there, a chiropractor. You can have your art studio, etc. And so we got into the flex space through that, which is a really niche and luxurious item. And then we got into development of apartment complexes. Now we're developing flex spaces. We're looking at senior active living. We're looking at build to rent communities. We have our hands in a lot of different pots, but it all has a connection to impacting communities for the better because we're honestly here for the people.
Nice, nice, nice.
And
No,
I want to
it sounds really unique. I mean, you can pull your Ferrari right there into your living room, I guess. Nice.
I'm trying to tell you,
Okay.
it's real unique.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And by the way, Rod, I would argue deals are already here. We last year we had a deal offered to us, an 8 unit for 1.2 million, direct to seller. Guy hasn't paid his taxes. He wants to get out of it with his partners. Just last week he offered it to us for 500,000.
No kidding.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
prices have already come down.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
Marquise, I know we can talk about this. You're probably seeing the same thing a lot, but
Mhm.
30% in a lot of markets.
Yep.
But I want to back into you because we talked about your deal, you talked about what's next for you, but let's back into you a little bit. Talk
Sure.
just a little bit about yourself and how you kind of figured out your skill sets, your superpower from starting brand new, fresh into multifamily, because we didn't even talk about that. And how'd you go about building your team from there?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a dangerous question to ask a pastor because if it's open ended, we have three closings, right? But I'll make it quick. So my background is I'm actually a pastor in Houston. That's my full-time job. I even hate saying job or gig, but that's what I do full time. And so I began that in 2018. I also got married in 2018. So both of my careers got started in 2018, right? And then from there, I really got to see how the sausage was made in the sense of the budgeting for the church and how we allocate our tithes and our giving. A lot of it goes to personnel and to the building, which is with any business. But I didn't want to be one of the pastors that were making a lot from the church. I wanted to find a way to supplement my income to give back to the church so we can do more missions, we can impact our children in the neighborhood and more of our community.
Nice.
So with that, I started looking at different forms of income. Learned about single family because my wife's family is in that primarily in Atlanta. I was going to get into it, but decided to hold off until I bought my first home here in Houston. Fast forward, decided in 22 to join Rod's program because I needed a mentor. I needed a network and I needed to learn from somebody who knew what they were doing. There's a bunch of gurus out here and some of them are better than others. But to be honest with you, I really love the mindset behind Rod and the education behind Rod. And when you look at a lot of your students, I mean, you see it. Like that stuff is contagious. I remember talking to Rob, who's from Dallas. We were at an event in Dallas and he was just singing your praises. And I said, let me look into this guy, Rod. And so I joined anyway in 22 that summer. October, my daughter was born. And so I slowed down. But the way I got started in commercial was honestly during that season. My wife had told me, hey, if you're going to go into this program, you're going to have to go into it without costing us any debt because we got a baby on the way and you're a pastor. So you don't make a lot of money. I was like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Happy wife, happy life. Right.
That's right. That's right. Okay, you
Exactly.
got
And
that
so,
memo. Yeah.
I was trying to. I learned something in my career. Right. And so anyway, I actually joined your program without a mentor. I just
Mm.
got into it, got the education, started networking, and eventually got connected with a group out in Houston. They brought me into their network and their community. Really appreciate those guys at Massive Capital. Mike Bailey
Hmm.
is one of your
Uh-huh.
students, and so that's
One of
how
the
that
warriors.
connection
Yeah.
happened. Yep,
Nice.
Jasmine as well.
Hmm.
Really great people.
Hmm.
So anyway, I started bringing them deals, started underwriting, started learning how to underwrite, started networking, and eventually I got connected to a guy named Alsa Lewis. It's
That's
beautiful.
really awesome. I'm going to tell you some incredible people in the Warrior program. By the way, guys, if you are interested in applying to our Warrior program, text the word crush to 72345 and you can talk to our team. We look you over, you look us over.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, you set up a call, you're going to leave that call better than when you got on it, whether we work together or not. But again, text crush to 72345. And if you do, you will be speaking soon. Um, so then you did the transition to Flex. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this year we started looking into flex and we
Yeah.
started looking into even a senior living, building
Mhm.
cottages instead of the apartment
Oh
style
yeah, I know all about him.
complex.
I almost did that. I literally, I keep interrupting you this interview. I apologize.
No
I'm
worry,
at
I'm used to it.
I'm
I'm
at
used to
four
it.
and a half stars on my freaking podcast instead of 5 because I interrupt too much. And I'm sorry, guys. Those of
Look at
you,
that.
please don't leave me hate again because it'll drop me down to 4 or something. But it's funny. I was gonna do senior living and I got my license to be an administrator here in Florida. Went to a 3-day class, got the
Yeah.
domain name affordableseniorhousing.com. But I met a guy that does cottages, I
Yep.
think in Oklahoma, actually. trying to
Okay.
remember his name, but he does these cottages where it's all senior living, and
Yep.
you can build these small like nucleus cottages, and you can combine them with one kitchen and whatnot. Yeah, it's so funny you said that. That's why I got excited, because I remember this is 16, 17 years ago. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll add one more interruption as well, because I live in California, and I know we always talk about never, and I say this as well, never invest in California, New York, the crazy states.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you are dead set absolutely on doing that, and you're listening, and you're so afraid to go out of it, senior living is a great way to do it, because you do not deal with a lot of the challenges in terms of evictions, crazy rent
Hmm.
bumps, a lot of the things that you have to deal with in
yeah,
California.
yeah, but
Senior
you
living
better
is
take
a,
care. But
I'm
you
not
better
saying
take
it's
care.
not foolproof, but it
Yeah,
is a way to
a
overcome some
lot
of
of
those
liability.
challenges.
A lot of
Correct.
liability. You take care. You
Correct.
don't want to hurt you don't want to abuse grandma or not take care
No,
of
you
grandma.
definitely
So
don't want to do
you
that.
Correct.
want to be very, very careful with that. I've got a great friend that's got actually ALF's assisted living facilities inside of houses in Sacramento. She's a great friend of mine. I think she has
Hmm.
about 6 of
Hmm.
them. And and there was a guy he passed with COVID, unfortunately, a guy named Gene Garino that taught that how to take a house and turn it into assisted living. But
Yeah.
so you're seriously considering that, to be an operator or to build it and sell it to an
Yeah.
operator?
We're, well, sort of like both. I mean, I
Okay.
can't tell you the secret sauce and how we're doing it, but
Oh.
if you're interested, Rod, we can always have an offline conversation.
Listen, there's a silver tsunami coming. Okay. Right now, I think there's 10,000 people a day hitting retirement age. It's that baby boom bubble. I
Yeah.
used to say they're getting old and getting cold, that's why
Yeah.
I wanted to buy South. But yeah, no, we should have a conversation, because I'm actually very interested. I'm actually very interested in Flex as well. I think it's an
Okay.
incredible asset class that as long as you do your homework and you look at the area's occupancy and vacancy to make sure it's
Sure.
not saturated. I remember I was at my stepmom's house in Chicago, and I was just driving around. I was jogging, actually. I was jogging around, and I just noticed a lot of empty flex space. And I thought,
Yeah.
okay, so you really want to do your homework and see what the occupancy is and the demand is. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
interesting,
true.
interesting, brother.
Just for action items here, just in general, what are,
Yeah.
for the listeners, what are some things that you do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and some action items for people that are just brand new into this, that you could say, hey guys, go start here, go learn this, go do this, whatever?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I mean, to be honest with you, commercial real estate is like the analogy of an elephant that you're trying to take down, right? You're trying to chew an elephant. In my opinion, you have to find somewhere to start and just take one bite at a time, honestly. I would truly ask myself, okay, what part of commercial real estate do I want to get into? And multifamily, hey, that's a great place to get started.
Mhm.
And then there's a whole process and what that can look like, right? From getting connected with people like you guys and the Warrior program, making sure you're getting the education, because you're responsible for these investors. At the end of the day, people are saying, I trust you. If they give you their money, I
Mhm.
trust you. Even though they make their own due diligence and sound call, you're responsible for your investors. So you better be educated about
Mhm.
these deals that you're bringing to them. And so I think education is an important key. But I would even go back further than that, honestly. I think one of the things I appreciate about Rod is the way that he invests into us, his students. I'll never forget when you sent me the Miracle Morning book, because that's one of your love languages is giving.
Mhm.
And that Miracle Morning book really set the stage for me, because it talked about how to start your day with intention, to get up and make a tradition and a routine of your morning. And so every morning I have my own routine. I'm waking up at 4:30 in the morning to spend time
Wow.
with God or to go work out, spend time setting my intentions for the day, what my goals are going to be for the day, knocking out some of those savers that he talks about in the book, right? And kind of moving forward. So I would say start finding yourself a morning routine, and then start setting your intentions or your goals that you have. And the way you set your goals is actually by working backwards. Where do you want to be in 5 years or 10 years? What's that specific number you want to get at for your family that you can enter into and be financially free? Then work backwards. What does that look like based on number of doors a business is owned? Work backwards. How many businesses will it take or deals take to get to that point? And then eventually, here's where I can start in each step that I need to go along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great, great, great description of of executing on your goals is really determining. You want this many deals. You've got to make this many calls, meaning how many a month, a week, a day,
Yep.
an hour, and you work backwards. So that's awesome. Do you mind? Are you okay with listeners reaching out to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
have
love
just
that.
bandwidth? Okay. What's the best way for them to do that, buddy?
Yeah. So you can go to our company website,
Okay.
investstream.us. That's spelled investream.us.
Okay.
Or you can look me up on LinkedIn. I love connecting with people on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And so my name is spelled Marquice. Last name is Hobbs, Hobbs.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
Thanks.
Forward to seeing you this weekend.
Oh, you're coming? Oh, fantastic. Yeah, we've got our
Yeah.
warrior event this weekend, guys, where we invite warriors and we do deep dives on underwriting, and we've got some incredible speakers this time, and they wear ribbons on their lanyards if they're looking for money, if they're looking for sponsors, if they're looking for deals, if they're beginners. So the different colored ribbons for the different things they're looking for, because this business is all about who you know. It's more important
Yeah.
than what you know. I mean, you've alluded to that in this interview, and so we do everything we can to facilitate. And our most successful warriors by far are the ones that are the most connected in the community. So we facilitate those connections with these warrior only events. The main purpose is to network like crazy. And so they're a lot of fun. It'll be a blast. You're going to love it. Is this your first one, or have you come before?
This is my first one with the Warrior Only, so I'm
You're
super
going to love it.
excited.
You're going to love it. It's such good vibes and good feeling. Everybody's happy and connecting. It's really awesome. All right, brother. Be well. It's great to see you. Mark, I'll see you later, buddy.
All right. See you guys.
Take care, Marquise.
Take care.
So one other quick thing. We encounter so many people that are frankly frustrated. They're looking in the mirror and they're frustrated that they haven't been able to escape the rat race. They haven't been able to build cash flow to the point where they're able to have financial and time freedom with their families. And maybe they see other people buying real estate and creating, incredible cash flow, and they think, well, it's just scary. Buying apartments is intimidating. And I get it. See, that's why we created our Warrior Mentorship Program. They're our coaching students, and they've had extraordinary results. My students, I've been teaching about 5 years, and they own upwards of 140,000 units now that we know of, right? And we feel like it's just getting going. Now, we're looking to grow this group and really take it to the next level. And honestly believe that the greatest transfer of wealth could be upon us right now with this current economic environment. Everything's going on sale. So we're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework, really like a blueprint or a map, literally step by step. And then they're able to leverage our systems and our incredible network to raise money and equity, to find deals and close those deals and build partnerships really nationwide. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more in our incredible network and take advantage of the unbelievable opportunities that are upon us, you can apply to my Warrior Mentorship Program by texting the word CRUSH to 72345, or you can go to mentorwithrod.com. And what we'll do is we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out and see if it's a fit. Now, again, you can go to mentorwithrod.com or text the word CRUSH to 72345 to apply, and we will speak soon.